It was in my darkest hours of depression, I had immense hatred for myself. I hated myself for not being able to do the things that I loved. I hated myself for barely being able to work due to mental exhaustion. And I hated myself because I felt like a fraud. For 15 years, I taught and written 3 books on self-help, and yet everything that I taught had failed. It didn't matter how healthy I ate, which doctor I saw, how much I worked out or read. I'd only ever get a quick boost of motivation before it ran out. And worse yet, I lost the thing that mattered the most, which was my sense of self. I asked, why does self-help work for some but not for others? Why do some make transformational changes while others are left to fight alone? And why don't we take those suffering from depression and anxiety seriously? I mean, if someone's arm's broken, we get why they're in pain. But if someone's depressed, we assume they're weak. We misdiagnose excuses, procrastination, depression as causes, not symptoms. And we assume it's the result of a negative attitude alone. After doing all of my research, we couldn't have been more wrong. The truth is, just because we can't see the cause of the pain, doesn't mean the pain doesn't exist. All of the self-help work I've studied over the years has perpetuated this myth that if someone's depressed, anxious, or unmotivated, they just need to think positively. That's crucial, yes, don't get me wrong, but to succeed in life, our psychology and our biology need to work in tandem. It's 2 sides of the same coin. One side doesn't exist without the other. But when we look at peak performers, we only ever look at one side of the coin, their psychology and their mindset, and not the other, the underlying biochemistry that supports and fuels that peak performing psychology. And the hustle until you die culture expects us to do whatever it takes. The problem, we can't continue to pay a high psychological price day after day without paying a high biological one and expect us still to perform at the same level. To make sure that people get the help that they need, we must take a deeper look and ask ourselves what happens when someone is unknowingly exposed to nutritional deficiencies, hormonal changes, toxins, digestive issues, side effects from medications, or even inflammation. Well, this body of research tells us they'll become unmotivated, depressed, and fatigued because these triggers mimic psychological disorders that we misdiagnose as a poor attitude. We always default back to our biochemical set point. And if that's geared towards being mentally and physically exhausted, the truth is, no matter how much you try and think your way out of it, you'll always land right back where you began until the triggers are removed. But first, you gotta work out what those triggers are. You can medicate with self-help all you like I did. You may get better momentarily, but the question is, will you get well? We've been led to believe that to become motivated, we need to be inspired and think positively. Yet studies have shown that chronic inflammation removes motivation by reducing dopamine in the brain. Chronic inflammation is caused by chronic stress. In a survey of 20,000, we uncovered that only 6% of people are true peak performers. Only 6% of people have the mental clarity, energy, and cognitive abilities to process psychological work successfully so it sticks. The rest are suffering from brain fog, fatigue, negative looping thoughts, procrastination, and self-doubt that makes it near impossible for the psychological work to stick and for it to work for them. Imagine trying to motivate yourself when you have intense mental exhaustion. Imagine trying to push through with willpower when you're always tired. And imagine trying to convince yourself that you're okay when every step you take is like walking through mud. It's like trying to start a car without gas. It doesn't matter how much you try and turn that key, it's not going to budge and nothing will change until you refuel it. Our environment has changed, but our thinking hasn't. It's time for a paradigm shift that's decades in the making. The truth is, going after your goals is like driving up to an intersection. To reach them, you need to turn right. But if you're exposed to toxins, inflammation, digestive issues, food sensitivities, or side effects from medication, your primal brain will turn on self-preservation mode, where it has to prioritize vital bodily functions over your goals. It's going to force you to turn left every single time to rest and recover, because you only have enough energy in your tank to fight against the bloatware in the background that's been draining you. And that's not enough to go after your goals at the same time. In this state, you're going to find yourself torn between who you are and who you want to become. And until you remove these triggers, your primal mind will keep forcing you to rest and recover because it doesn't have the energy to spare to make that critical right turn. The turn that you need to make to have a sense of never-ending energy, clarity, drive, and purpose. You'll feel like two different people constantly fighting against yourself. And this fight will only cause you to become even more emotionally and physically exhausted, just like I was. And that's why I'm tired. I'm tired of those that claim that there's only one solution to this multifaceted problem. I'm tired of people getting told to toughen up when they really need help locating the root of their rut. And I'm tired of others telling them to quit making excuses. I get it. I grew up on a cattle farm. I grew up in that culture. But if your only tool is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. It's time to find a better way and travel down a path that's based on neuroscience, psychology, and biohacking, so no stone gets left unturned and no person gets left behind. Which is why, after suffering from debilitating mental fatigue, depression, and anxiety myself, with a little energy that I had, I went on this insane 90-day mission to biohack my way back to health, to uncover what's really holding us back based on science and not theory. And best of all, I finally answered the question of why self-help works for some but not for others. And it's time people learned what it is so we can end the internal torment that people go through. People don't have to suffer like I did, and it's my mission that they don't.